Hey everyone, I am really excited to talk to you on this episode of the Period Whisperer podcast about weight loss resistance and the reason why you are not losing weight in these perimenopause years, these magical 35 to 55 on average, what we call the menopause transition years, where things are shifting and changing. And ultimately, we're going through a reverse puberty during this time. I'm going to dive on into this, give you the main reason why this is happening, and some real tips for you to begin to get yourself back out of resistance and into weight release, which I know plays on a lot of our minds. But it's also why I created the Hack Your Hormone event. It is a very simple 2-part mini series that teaches you everything you need to know in layman's terms about what is happening in your body at this age and some really solid hacks, 10 complete hacks that you can start implementing that don't require you to do more in your life or in your day, that will begin to help you get relief and get results. Because I know if you're anything like me, which you are, because I hear from you all the time, I see you, I talk to you, we are already full in life, and we have to begin to counteract that fullness somehow without adding more, right? Bringing balance back to us. So make sure that if you are stuck and you need a simple, really low-priced thing to give you some results, that is what the Hack Your Hormone event is for those of you who just need a starting point. Of course, the link is in your bio. Now, are you ready to talk about weight loss resistance, why you're here and what to do about it? Let's dive in. What's up, sisters? Welcome to the Period Whisperer podcast. I'm Bria. I'm your host. If you're new, I'm so happy you are here. I'm your perimenopause and menopause sister, your holistic trainer, hormone specialist, translator of your female body. I'm a recovering people pleaser and hustle addict turned body whisperer and hormone decoder. And I am here to help you de-stress your body, decode what it is saying, become the CEO of it, and own your own health, energy, and weight loss again. This show is for you, the overwhelmed, overworked, underappreciated stuck woman who dreams of a body they feel strong, energetic, and sane in. The woman who knows that she shouldn't just wave the white aging flag and believes in a body and life of peace, love, and purpose. But you don't just know how to get there yet. So if you are stuck in your body, your energy, your life, you are in the right spot. Let's lean in and learn what our bodies are saying to us. What's up, my amazing sister girlfriends, my busy mamas, my career-driven women? This is Bria here, your host of the Period Whisperer podcast about all things that help us understand these whispers of our bodies, learning to come back into ourselves and live a life that we feel excited about again. Welcome, welcome. Today we are talking about weight loss resistance and the main reason why you are not losing weight in this time frame. And I want to add to that, I think weight loss ends up drawing a lot of us in, but ultimately it has a lot to do with energy, right? So when I say weight loss, weight release, I also mean like energy consistency, right? If we want weight release, we need to have energy gain. These things have to happen. And when we're in a really good balanced place in our body, that is what happens for us. We have weight release, we have energy gain, we're feeling young, we're feeling vibrant, we can feel the same way we do at any age. And it's really, it's really difficult when you're waking up and you're not feeling that way. Whether you're waking up exhausted or you're not sleeping well and you feel really scattered all the time, or I don't know, when I know that things are a little out of control in my body, I usually wake up and am already excited to go to bed. I'm dreading the day. And those are really hard days when you can still find positivity in the day, but when you wake up and you're like, no, I just want to stay here. I want the world to go away for a while. Or you feel uncomfortable in your body from the moment, you get undressed to hop in the shower to the moment you have to put on clothes. When you're not feeling good in who you are, whether it's about weight loss or energy or just clarity of your mind or fulfillment in your life, it can be a really difficult thing just getting dressed sometimes in the morning, right? It can be frustrating, and we have to kind of stomp that emotion down somewhere. I know that was one of the biggest things for me when I was really struggling with my hormones. It was hard even just getting dressed in the day. I couldn't understand why I was, pushing myself through these hard workouts and, having really clean food in the morning, but feeling so uncomfortable even just putting on my stretchy leggings, in the day. And I mean, you and I both know at the end of the day, it isn't about the size and shape of your body or the number on the scale. It has everything to do with how you feel about yourself. When you feel good, the number is irrelevant. But a lot of the times we're not feeling good because we're bloated, because we're crampy, because we have this brain fog, because our clothes are feeling too tight, because we're overwhelmed, we're not being our best selves, we're hitting this point in the afternoon where we're impatient and we're kind of snappy and we just look forward to going to bed at night when the evening of our life can be a really wonderful time, right? To engage with our kids, to connect with friends, to get outside, to make love. The evening can be a really wonderful, passionate, fulfilling part of life. But if you're exhausted, it's really challenging, right? It's really challenging to do anything but just want to crawl into bed and not have more things added to your to-do list. And this is where we're running into, and what I want to make super clear here about this time in our life is that it really, what we know is that as we head into these perimenopause years or this menopause transition, we know that our hormones are becoming dysregulated. So things just aren't moving as smoothly, right? They're just not. And that causes a challenge and poses a new workload for the body because our bodies, our beautiful bodies and brains are fully designed to constantly work to put us into balance, right? Which is why, for example, when you drink alcohol, which is a depressant, the brain releases cortisol and adrenaline to bring the body back up to meet that hormone imbalance, right? When we are, when we are getting sick and we're all of a sudden having to fight off these like alien things in our body. This is not very well spoken, but we're just going to go with it today. Even though I did sleep really well last night, the brain and the body releases things to bring this back into balance. Everything in the body is designed to bring us into balance. When food comes into our body that spikes our insulin, hormones are released to bring the body back into balance. All of this is happening. Now, before we reach, this reverse puberty, before we reach this reverse puberty, we don't have to fight that imbalance, right? It's happening, things are moving, tickety-boo in our body. Side note, does anyone else say tickety-boo? It's not a regular part of my conversation, but every now and then it pops in and I think it's hilarious. So everything's moving smoothly, but now here we are and we're naturally dysregulated, right? Because we're about to shift from having these hormones that make us fertile to not needing these hormones, to not having these hormones anymore, right? So now we're just not having regular amounts of the hormones, which means we're dysregulated. So the body has this extra workload going on at all times. It's almost like if you've ever been pregnant before, that first trimester, you're so exhausted. And that's because your body is busy building a human. More stuff is happening in our body. It's also why we are, more tired during the luteal phase and the menstrual phase of our cycle, because the body is busy doing extra things. We don't consciously recognize it, and that's a problem. Nobody teaches us to recognize it, but the body is doing more, right? Whether you're exercising, whether you're sleeping enough, whether you're eating properly, whether your work is slow or fast or busy or overwhelming, your body is doing more at all times. And just like when we have too many tabs open on our phone or apps running in the background, the battery runs and gets sucked out a lot faster. So this is one of the biggest, and really the biggest reason that we're struggling these days, because we're not recognizing this grinding that's happening in the background of our body. We're still trying to keep our Olympic pace as working women in the world, and we're not recognizing that our energy is being sucked out. So what we need to do is look at the body and recognize, okay, so now I have to allocate energy every single day to to this imbalance that I'm having until it navigates out once we actually achieve menopause. Menopause comes with its own hormonal challenges, right? But we're in this phase and we want to really support this phase. When we understand we're grinding in the background, and that's what's happening when you wake up with night sweats, when you can't sleep through the night, when you're waking up with spinning thoughts, when you're trying to lose weight and you can't, but you're eating a calorie deficit and doing hard workouts, when you can't make it through the afternoon without sugar or caffeine or, a glass of wine at the end of the day, you are struggling with a hormone imbalance. And all of these things, unfortunately, lack of sleep, sugar, sugar in the afternoon, drinking alcohol, extra caffeine, all of these things actually cause more of a workload to our body because they have to deal with this, right? If you aren't sleeping through the night, then the body isn't able to complete its self-cleaning and recovery cycle. So now it's got more work to do in the day. If you're eating sugar in the afternoon, the body has to deal with that because it's a very inflammatory thing to our gut, to our gut biome, to our hormones, to our entire body. The body now has to deal with that thing. It's and this, we know this as women. We're already so full. It's like when your to-do list is so full that every minute is accounted for in the day, and all of a sudden you get a call from the school and your child is sick and you have to go pick them up and everything gets thrown into disarray. Or you're, trying to make breakfast and pack lunches and your dog is staring at you for a walk and your partner comes in and is like, where are the batteries? And you want to implode because you're like, can everyone just do something for themselves? Can you tell I'm speaking from experience? So it is our responsibility to recognize, it's not our fault that this is happening, but it is our responsibility to recognize that what is going on in our body is the same thing of what's going on in our life, right? If we are overwhelmed and full in life, our body is absolutely feeling that same way. It's already got a full to-do list, and now we want it to try to lose weight or fight off sickness or have consistent energy throughout the day. And it's kind of like, okay, we'll add it to the list, but it's going at the bottom. I'm not going to get to that anytime today, right? And sure enough, and then we go to bed and we don't sleep really well and we got to fight off the alcohol we drank the night before. And we're not having any pleasure, any joy, show me a woman who's having amazing orgasms that's still struggling to lose weight. It's an interesting stat. Check it out. Anyway, so all this to say, the biggest issue that's keeping us from weight loss resistance and why you're not losing weight right now is because of this added workload on the body. We are automatically having to do more, the body's doing more, and then we also live this lifestyle that we've been living for years that we've thought has been working for us, but really hasn't, that exacerbates that problem, right? By not taking proper breaks or vacations or downtime, by not having calm time, by drinking too much caffeine, by eating inflammatory foods, by, never taking time to breathe properly, by pushing ourselves through hard workouts all the time. All of these things are actually making the problem worse because they ask of the body. And that's the simplest, most layman's way that you can think about it. They ask of the body. So we have to really take a look and think, okay, I just need to think differently. You don't actually have to do more. You just need to change things around a little bit to reduce the workload on your body. And we do that in sort of 3 different key ways, right? First, we do that by looking at blood sugar. So how we eat, the format that we eat can actually impact the added workload to our body. The moment we eat any type of carbohydrate, which we need, I am not telling you not to eat carbohydrates. We have to remember every single cell in our beautiful bodies is made up of protein and fats. And the only way that cell gets all the way around our body to make our skin healthy, to make our hair shiny, to make our eyes clear, to make our organs function is with carbohydrates. That creates the energy. That's why those are our 3 key macronutrients. So it's important to eat all of those things. But every time we eat a carbohydrate, it automatically spikes our blood sugar. It calls in the insulin to bring stuff to the party. So we get this up, and then we get an alt as a result. What goes up must come down, right? So then we get this dip. And now there's effort to reduce the up, and now there's effort to reduce the down. And that can be hard on the body. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't eat carbohydrates, but a really simple fix that people need to understand is that we get to control how much that spike happens by some of the other things we do. And 2 really simple ways to reduce our blood sugar spike is to make sure that before you eat a carbohydrate, you have some vegetables, because the veggies and the fiber in veggies really act as like a sieve in our lower intestine, and it slows the absorption of the carbohydrate and the sugars in it so that we don't have as much of a spike, which therefore means we don't have as much effort there, and also means we don't have as much of a drop, so we don't have as much effort there. Now we're reducing the workload on the body. We go from just having to put like 2 dishes away, or from having to put a full dishwasher away, to maybe just having to put 2 dishes away, or like all the laundry, 4 loads of laundry, to just 1 load of laundry, right? Significant difference there. The other way we can do it is by walking after we eat, or moving our body after we eat. Even just for 10 minutes after you consume, specifically sugars or carbohydrates of sorts. And by sugars, I mean, fruit is a carbohydrate, which is a sugar. We're looking at even really whole food carbohydrates like rice, like potatoes, like quinoa. All these things are whole food carbohydrates. And fruit, those things alone we can really reduce the spike of our blood sugar and therefore the workload on our body. Really simple things. So if you're going to have, a granola bar in the afternoon, just have a few slices of cucumber or a handful of carrots before you eat it. It'll reduce that, and have a little walk or something after you consume that. So that is one really simple way to reduce the workload, or really 2 simple ways to reduce the workload on your body, by reducing your blood sugar spikes. The second we know is cortisol, right? Cortisol is the biggest, code blue, like a code blue in the hospital. Everyone's got to drop everything and get to it. The same thing happens in our body. When cortisol comes on the scene, the body can't do any of its normal functions. It can't metabolize. It can't focus on reproduction. It can't focus on any of, burning fat. Not only does it have to go right and deal with this cortisol because it's like red alert, what's happening, but cortisol makes your body feel like something bad is coming and I need to conserve for that bad thing. So it suppresses the metabolism and amps up our fat storage. This is why we see women who are running half marathons and are still overweight, because our cortisol is out of whack, right? We're not working properly in line with that. We need to reduce the cortisol so the body can get out of fat storage mode, okay? So a few key ways to do that, because I can't come into your life, and I know you can't come into mine and fix your relationship issues or fix the stress at work or fix the stress that comes from being a parent sometimes. We can't do that. But we can reduce our cortisol in a few key ways by not exacerbating it. What does that look like? So it looks like in our movement, in our workouts, we're not asking more of our body. So switching to yoga, to walking, to gentle Pilates, these are ways that we elongate the body, release stress in the body, relax the body, and not ask more of it, first of all. With our food, we can shift out of cortisol-inducing foods. We know that when we drink, alcohol, cortisol is released. When we consume sugar, cortisol is released. When we drink caffeine, cortisol is released. All of these things, not to mention that, but then we have dairy, which inflames and causes inflammation in the body. That means it's a higher workload on the body. Gluten, which is an often inflammatory piece. So we've got some key foods here that if we just reduce them and pull them out, not forever, but for a few weeks, will significantly reduce the workload on the body and also reduce more cortisol from being pumped in. And finally, step number 3 is to nourish. So the other two are kind of, what can I shift? What can I add? What can I shift? What can I remove so that I'm not adding more workload? Now we can actually consciously choose some simple things to nourish our body that helps support. It's like when you have your mom come and visit and you get up in the morning and all of a sudden the dishwasher's already unloaded. This happened to me today. It was so glorious. It's like, oh, I don't have to do that. It's like someone helped me. Someone gave me a hand. It's the most wonderful feeling. And that we can do the same thing with our body by nourishing us, right? So some really simple ways to nourish our own body is to, when you first wake up, make sure like the first thing you're putting in your body is having like warm water with lemon. The lemon, the enzymes in real lemon, we're not talking about lemon concentrate, real lemon actually supports the liver. And the liver's whole role is to detoxify the body, really move out that excess cortisol, move out the excess hormones. And that is a big part of what we need to do. We need to reduce the insulin. We need to reduce the estrogen that's happening, the excess estrogen that is kind of coming and going with this dysregulation. So we can start with some warm water with lemon. We can have the next thing that we consume can be greens, getting a beautiful micronutrient dense greens drink, fill it up with water and drink that first thing in the morning. You guys know I love my Organifi. They do give my listeners, here's my shameless plug, a discount. 15 to 20% off if you just use my name Bria at the checkout. But I love this stuff and I wouldn't share it with you if I didn't think it was amazing. Every one of my clients that orders this can notice the difference in their energy and their cravings within 3 or 4 days of consistency. It is the most effective thing. It hydrates us. It nourishes the gut flora. And you'll notice a big impact right away, but it supports that gut biome, which is so significant of a connection with our hormones. And of course, breath work. If you listened to my last podcast, you heard the most mind-blowing stat from Dr. Jennifer Harrington, who shared that even just 15 minutes of conscious breathing a day, 15 minutes, don't tell me you don't have 15 minutes, 15 minutes of conscious breathing, which, hey, listen, can be done when we walk, can be done when we yoga, can be done in a meditation, can be done even just sitting in the car as you're driving, conscious breathing in for 5 seconds into the belly, out for 5 seconds for 15 minutes, while you're doing student drop off, whatever it is, can reduce hormone imbalance by 47%. I mean, that's because it helps calm the body. It helps bring oxygen everywhere it needs to go. It nourishes us. So these are 3 really simple ways that you can actually improve without really adding much more to your life. A simple greens juice and warm water with lemon, no big deal. We can do this, which is really the final thing we want to remember. Let's not make a bigger deal out of the things our body deserves. We deserve our own attention. We deserve our own consciousness. We deserve our own focus. And when we are too busy for ourselves, that's a problem. That's a real problem for us. And the body recognizes that. Our body is only going to be around for so long. You want this life to be fulfilled and happy and purposeful. So begin to pay attention and notice when your body is out of whack, and do not think it is okay. It is not okay. It's time for us to step into our body, to feel passionate about how we feel and to take ownership of that. Is it our fault that we feel this way? No, but is it our responsibility to make those changes? Yes. And let's not forget that 80% of our thoughts are pessimistic and 90 to 95 are repetitive, which means that we are thinking the same things. So we do have to consciously decide to think differently, to be differently. So start your day fueling with something positive, like mind, body, and soul, and watch how this simple shift can change everything for you. All right, sisters, that's what I have for you. Can I ask you a huge favor? Will you please go right now, take 2 seconds out of your day, I promise it'll send you some really good karma and juju, to rate and review this podcast on Spotify or on iTunes, wherever. Share it with a friend, tag me in it on Instagram. Help me get more of this information out to more women so they know they can feel better in their bodies without doing more. All right, have an amazing day. Catch you next time.
Thank you so much for joining me on the Period Whisperer podcast. I want to encourage you to reach out to me directly and message me if there are topics or things you're struggling with so we can address those right where you are at. And of course, if you loved this episode, if you learned something, make sure to share it with your friends and please rate and review it wherever you get your podcasts.